And good day, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us. We're talking St. Albans Town issues today and have three guests. Jonathan Giroux, the St. Albans Town Select Board Chairman. Brian Delorier, St. Albans Town Select Board Member and former Chair. And Sean Atkins, the St. Albans Town Manager. Good to see you, folks. Well, let's start with St. Albans City, certainly catching some... well, I guess St. Albans, but St. Albans City in particular, getting some real bad PR these days. I interviewed St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith the other day, and I've rarely seen Tim so concerned, but just issues about homeless issues, just obviously crime issues, but just a lot of concern in St. Albans City, and that's where a lot of services are provided for folks who are not in the best of shape, and some folks see that as a big plus. Others are just concerned that it's, I guess, bringing in more folks who have problems than the city can maybe reasonably deal with. But is this affecting the town? You're hearing, I'm sure you're aware of this issue, Jonathan, but do you feel that's kind of affecting St. Albans in general? Not a lot of people differentiate necessarily between the city and town.
That's right. So this issue isn't like a city-town issue. This is definitely St. Albans as a whole.
Yeah.
Like, because everybody drives through it. Well, not everybody, but mostly everybody drives through the city to get somewhere throughout the day, the month, the year, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a big issue. The one thing I'm hopeful for that's going to curb some of this is the when the street crimes unit is up and running.
Yeah, and is that close? Is that just getting pretty close now?
I believe they have the supervisor.
Yeah, supervisor's
close.
been out for about 2 weeks, I think. So.
So bringing that back after it had gone away for a couple of years, I guess.
Well, yeah, when Chief Taylor had it running, it seemed to work. You know, it kicked some of the heavy drug dealers out of the city.
Yeah.
And not that I necessarily want to push it to other communities, but like that's eventually what it does. It pushes it away. So, you know, it's out of St. Albans per se.
Yeah.
At that point.
Brian, any thoughts? Again, I'm just struck. St. Albans is just getting a lot of attention after St. Albans having been getting some pretty good PR for a number of years, kind of the revitalization of downtown, but just sounds like some kind of its first bad ink in a while.
Yeah, it's boiled over a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what's happened.
And not to suggest plenty of other communities have the same issue, obviously, hardly as St. Albans.
Yeah, we definitely learned that. And that's the thing, like saying it's boiled over. It's been there for a while, right?
Yeah.
We've always had drug abuse, and we've always had homelessness.
Yeah.
Is it worse? I don't know about the homelessness part, but the people walking around stealing stuff off people's front yard seems to have been exponentially worse.
Yeah.
The statistics that Chief Lamothe shared with us seems to indicate that too. It's 3, 4, 10 times more than it was 1 year ago on a lot of these, as they call them, nuisance crimes.
Yeah.
These small misdemeanors that the laws, it seems like, don't do anything more than give you a $50 bail, and you got to come back and see us in a week.
And not to mention shoplifting sounds like for just
those
big concern.
Those kinds of things. So I think
just
Jonathan's
kind of quality of life stuff, I guess. In a way.
I think Jonathan's right in terms of helping fix it. I mean, I don't think the answer is removing all the services.
Yeah.
Now, the city council's inquired about the needle exchange program.
Yeah.
I think they should, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's be crazy not to at least look at it. But Jonathan's point about the street crimes unit getting up and going, I mean, we've got the supervisor. One of the first things they'll be doing is looking for another dedicated officer that'll be part of the street crimes unit to fill it out.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking, for where these drugs are coming from. I mean, these folks are stealing, they're selling it and getting money from whom. I don't know where that part comes in, but they're getting money and then they're going somewhere to buy drugs. I mean, that's what it sounds like is happening.
Yeah.
At least having the street crimes unit to look at that portion. And I also think the fact that we now have the joint police department together benefits both communities. But in this case, it's not going to be them pushing it hopefully from the city to the town,
just have one
but
department covering
out
the
of
city
St.
and
Albans.
town.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part. And then the last thing I'd mention is the more I've learned about this and looked at it, where's the chain falling? It's not the police. They're doing their job. I'm listening to, like, Miss Wheeler, Diane Wheeler, we've heard from some judges. It sounds like we really need a hard look at the laws and the legislature to make those changes. Very happy to see in the last couple of days, 3 of these folks at least being arrested and are in jail right now, awaiting some consequences. The robbery and one of the ladies who seems to be walking around a lot and stealing things. So it was caught. So,
Sean, you're hearing about this stuff. Any thoughts on this? Or
Yeah, we're getting more calls at the town hall.
Yeah.
I've been here about 15, 16 months now, and there were almost no calls about, unhoused or crime. I was for the vast majority, but the last 4 or 5 months, there's definitely been an uptick.
Yeah.
So it's a touchy subject, across the board. It's a pretty hot button. The crime is related to the unhoused, I guess is the term to use now, is a big question. It's just tough, especially from our seat, from our view, because we're a joint force, but is it coming from the city to the town? A lot of people kind of gray the line between what that is. I talked to somebody the other day, and they said something about something they liked that was happening in the city, and I agreed, and I was like, well, that's we're the town, it's a little different, but from the outside in, it looks like we all are having the same problems. So but we can't call up the chief and say, hey, go break the law in order to try to, mitigate the issues. There's a whole lot of things a lot of steps that have to be taken to address it.
are there some encampments or there's some unhoused people in St. Albans Town, I assume? I know the city had a place or two that they cleaned out, and I'm sure those people went someplace else. There's some folks in St. Albans Town, presumably.
Yes, there's some over off Nason Street, I believe. The last select board meeting, when the chief spoke, we had a couple of concerned residents about the area over there, and I believe, from what I heard, the landowner is allowing those people to stay there as of last week.
So they have like 10 tents just on his or her property?
I don't know, I've never been by, but that's what I've heard, so it's hard to, and like the chief said during the meeting, we can't go over there and kick somebody out. The landowner doesn't want them to leave.
Yeah.
That's the hard thing too.
Yeah.
it sounds like, too, I'm not sure it's 10 tents. It almost sounds like it's
like less
3 or
than
4
5.
at a time,
Yeah.
in a certain place.
Seriously.
Boy, tough issue. I was out in the Northeast Kingdom, picked up the St. Johnsbury paper, the Caledonian Record, just a couple days ago, but front page story on a number of mayors and town managers. Did you hear about that meeting? I guess it was a meeting in Montpelier.
Yep.
And the big headline in the Caledonian Record was just town officials saying, state, you got to do something about homelessness and paying, municipalities are just taking a beating on paying for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually met with some of those people.
So did you go to, were you at that meeting?
I wasn't at the meeting. This is kind of back to a blurred line between city and town. I did talk to officials the day before that last Tuesday, and talked to them about our homelessness issues, and they didn't realize that we also had them. So they're like, oh, can we add your name to this list? And I said, yes. I don't know if it made it by the time of the conference, but I think it's about 10 plus city town managers in the state have signed I don't know if you'd call it a petition, but certainly a request for the state to kind of step in, or at least empower the localities to address it.
All right. And you wonder, the state seems to, money issues are huge issues, I guess I wouldn't be expecting the state to suddenly just throw a ton of money at this, but hopefully it'll get some attention for what that's worth.
Right. Well, like the chief pointed out, and I did at my property this past week because I had a couple vandalisms, and I had a couple cars get gone through why they didn't lock their cars.
On your property?
On one of my properties, yes.
Oh.
And so this week, I'm going to be putting up no trespassing signs, as ugly as they are, but I guess in order for the state's attorney to prosecute, you got to have those signs up, from what I heard. So I'm going to put signs up. Last weekend I put cameras up so I can catch people on video coming and going. So I guess, residents and, property owners just got to stay vigilant and do their, if you do that end of it, you can send all that stuff to the police, and then they can prosecute a little easier, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the no trespassing signs is a very legitimate legal tool that they have. 'Cause
Is
I've
that right?
noticed-
So you need to have a no trespassing sign, so without
It
that.
sounds like if someone,
It gives them more ammo.
yeah, if they're doing anything, any of these things that we know are wrong, like trying to get
Yeah.
into your car, or going on your property, or taking
Yeah.
your stuff, it seems like legally you have better standing to hold them
Really?
accountable if
Huh.
you've somehow legally told them not to do it first, even though it should be common sense that you shouldn't do that. But to Jonathan's point, yeah, having those things up, the person who was caught 2 nights ago, they mentioned right on, they're able to charge her because she went onto someone's property that already had a no trespass,
Interesting.
not just the signs, but a no trespass against her.
Huh.
They used footage from other homes in the area to show that that it was a trend. So again, if you have someone go through your car or your home, or at your home, hopefully not in your home, and you have that camera footage, to send it into the police, even if you think it may not make a difference. They are keeping track of it. They're, putting maps out. They're looking for trends, and then eventually, hopefully, able to use it when it comes time for in-court processes.
Yeah. I'm a longtime St. Albans City resident, have a couple of Toyota Corollas, one of which is very hard, almost impossible to lock, and that someone went through that some months ago. Fortunately, wasn't much in there, but Nick, I was coming out to a show here, get in the car, and the seat was, why is the seat so far back? And then
Yeah.
in another second, I see stuff all over the place, but
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
not just
definitely an issue.
your stuff that's potentially taken or not
Yeah.
taken. It's that whole
Sure.
feeling a little violated.
Sure.
We had one years ago. This one when I lived in the city, just down the street from where you live.
yeah,
Someone broke into my wife's car and stole a pendant that her mother had given her
Wow.
before her mother had passed. And now that she really wanted that pendant back. We filed a report.
Huh.
But she just said it was the fact that every time she got in the car
Sure.
and the pendant wasn't there, there was a
Yeah.
reminder that someone broke into her car and
Yeah.
stole it. Shockingly, we got the pendant back.
Really?
Years later, they did arrest this person,
Wow.
and
Yes,
she got it back. But it's
was the car
it's not-
locked? Did they actually break? Because in my case, stupid
it was
me, but-
probably unlocked.
Probably
This is
unlocked.
back pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Got to lock your doors every minute.
Yeah.
Time. So yeah.
Boy, it sounds COVID.
I still call that breaking into me.
Yeah,
You
no, I
know,
hear you.
if I went to someone else's house
Sure.
and opened their door or went into their car without permission,
Sure.
whether I broke the door or just went in, I feel like it's wrong.
Yeah, I suspect in most cases they're getting into, they find an unlocked car and get into an unlocked car.
Yeah.
Boy, speaking of COVID, it sounds like COVID sure never goes away, but it almost sounds like there's a bit of a resurgence. You picking up much COVID news these days, or no more than usual?
Just COVID itself.
Just COVID. I know a few people I've worked with have been out because of it, but
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
other than that. I don't think there's been any like major.
And I guess there's a new vaccine you can get, having just had it about a month ago. I guess I was told to wait till 3 months after I had it to get that new.
The antibodies to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, issue, I guess we're never going to
It's a new flu.
get that issue totally out of here. Back to the police. The St. Albans PD's been covering St. Albans Town since July 1st. That going, you pretty comfortable with the cover? How's staffing? Are they doing pretty well staffing? I think are they maybe a position or two short? Have you got a handle on that?
According to the chief's update, they're staffed where they need to be.
Yeah,
They could always use a few more. They're always looking for people.
yeah,
I think he's holding up his end of the contract. Now you got to remember, with all the crime and the drugs and everything going on
Yeah.
throughout the city and town, that takes up a lot of people, because he
Sure.
says every time there's a report, it takes like an hour to write it, and that takes away from patrols on the streets, which is understandable.
yeah,
Hopefully, like I say, when the street crimes unit fires up, that we can kind of get more patrols out, because the officers aren't, doing all crime all the time. They can do some street patrols and
Yeah.
some speeding, stuff like that. They do have the speed cart out down by the bay.
I've noted, yeah, I go by there pretty much every day. I'm usually right about 40 when I hit that.
Yeah.
Probably is in contrast to a ton of, what an old guy I am. I actually, speed
You're under
limits,
oath right now.
yeah, speed limits actually make a fair amount of sense to me. That may speak to my age more than anything. So the coverage, are you getting more coverage? The sheriff's department was running into staffing issues, I think. Are you seemingly getting some more coverage now with City PD?
Well, I think we have coverage around the clock.
Have a coverage around
Right,
the
we have
clock.
coverage around the clock instead of, certain part, toward the tail end of the sheriff's contract, we were short on
Oh, is that-
staffing.
oh, is that
for
right?
a few hours throughout the
Huh.
night. And so, yeah, I think we're staffed around the clock. I think we're covered now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with that, Richard, with the zones,
And is it a,
Jonathan
that's a
or
good,
Sean could probably talk better
Yeah.
about it, but it's not there's 3 officers in the city and 1 or 2 in the town.
Yeah.
The St. Albans together is split into zones, and so you may have an
Yeah.
officer who's responsible for a slice that involves the city and town, and then
Okay.
different officers that are in another city/town sector, so to speak. So I don't think there's any that are purely the city or any that are purely the town. So at any point in time, we could have all of the officers in the city. You could have all of them in the town. You could have a mix, but
Yeah.
they'll be moving around based on what's happening on the ground, not treating it as we need to put this much time in the city versus the town, but just covering the entire area the best they can. And of course, that's the most efficient use of the department.
Yeah. So it's a little different coverage situation now, Sean, than it was last time City PD had the town?
I wasn't here last time, so I
That's a-
can't speak
that's
to
a
that
good-
one.
That's a
Yeah.
good point. Sounds like it's maybe a little
I
different,
think
but,
it's fairly
It's-
similar. Or
Fairly
It's similar, from what I
yeah.
gathered from the
Just some
chief,
tweaks.
it's east-west.
huh,
So the dividing line's Route 7,
huh,
it's not a quadrant, it's just 2 zones.
2 halves,
Two
yeah.
halves, it's east and west
huh.
is how they do it. So it is a
I've
little
seen them down
different.
on McQuam Shore recently and
Yeah.
doing patrols. Yeah.
Like
In
I
fact,
said,
it's coming to the show today. I went by City PD just on the access road coming in here.
Mhm.
Anyway, well, hopefully they're faring okay staffing wise.
They're often at Walmart too.
Yeah,
Walmart's
that's
a big pull.
another big
Yeah.
call for them that just uses up
They
resources.
just
just
log a lot of
tasks,
time just
yeah.
dealing with
Yeah.
shoplifting stuff.
It's like the number one.
Unfortunately.
I guess the legislature did make some changes, but I mean, the shoplifting thing was crazy. Did they finally change what it had to be? You had to steal, what, $900 or something to kick that into a felony?
Is it that much?
I mean,
Wow.
I
Yeah,
guess they
they-
made some changes, so I guess
changed it.
repeat shoplifters, it's easier to prosecute them.
Yeah, I think
but
it's $900 now in an
Yeah.
aggregate 2-week period.
Okay.
So,
Rather than one
you
time.
You can't go into Ace Hardware.
Yeah,
That's an easy one, right, to go in, because you can steal something worth $400 or $500 in your hands and run out.
wow.
So you couldn't go in and steal $500 today and go steal $500 tomorrow and be okay.
Yeah.
Now it would add up to be the 1,000. I don't know if that's enough, but that's certainly better than
Yeah.
what it was.
Of course.
They were going in and stealing tip jars.
Yeah.
Now I like to think that our St. Albans residents are generous, but it's probably rare that there'd be more than $900 in a tip jar before it's cleared out.
Yeah.
I mean, that just, yeah. I mean, I think more needs to be changed.
Yeah. So July 1st, City PD took over covering St. Albans Town, and the affiliation fee went away then, or was halved?
Yeah.
Did it went
It
away?
was.
Have it been halved the year before?
Yeah.
So that's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Any other? And again, that was described as a historic agreement between the city and town. I think that was certainly accurately put. Any other initiatives with the city and town these days? Feel like relations are in pretty good shape, Jonathan. Anything? Any other talks about any other, cooperative initiatives?
I don't think we have anything at this
I mean, nothing to the
Yeah.
level of the agreement.
Yeah.
And we had a mutual DPW barbecue on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
That's important, though.
Yeah, it's
And it sounds like the Public Works, I mean, I've heard that for years, that those folks seem to cooperate very, very well
Mhm.
together.
Yeah, and we share equipment too if we need
Yeah.
something or they need something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good,
Yeah.
I'd say top to bottom, good relationship since I've been here. Yeah.
And we had mentioned at our last meeting, our last open meeting, that we'd be reaching out to the city to see what would maybe be the best way to work cooperatively with all the public safety issues going on. So that's something that may happen if it makes sense for both communities. I think it makes sense for both communities, but I'll have to decide that.
Fire department, I mean, merging the two fire departments doesn't sound too crazy to me, but no discussion about, of course, the same chief, right? Chief Mulheron is chief of both city and town departments.
There has been discussion about
There
that.
have been.
In fact, we met formally, just mostly to talk about our fire department, but it was with, Don was there and Matt was there and Chief Mulheron was there. And it just actually, while it might seem from the distance that it would make sense, it's been decided that not right now. It doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah. But again, the departments certainly work well together. I mean, sounds like area departments in general do just fine.
Yeah.
Speaking of departments, again, a new fire department headquarters, that certainly has been getting some discussion. Sean, where's that right now?
Yeah, I'm putting together the RFP right now, actually. Yeah. Got about 7 or 8 of them on my desk right now. So
that's something, that's definitely something that you need down the road. I mean, that's something.
Yeah, it's kind of the last building we need to replace.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we still have well over $500,000 a year of LOT revenue that comes in, and that number keeps growing because now we're over $1 million a year of revenue from that source.
Is that right, from local option
Yeah.
tax?
So we're trying to just do construction now because, as you know, construction gets more expensive every year. So let's use the money, let's build a fire station that we need for the next 50 years or something.
How much of that million plus whatever is being used to pay off the new town hall and the public works garage?
So the
Public Works is good.
Public Works is paid for
is
in
that-
the
is that
salt
right?
shed.
That's paid
That's
for?
all paid.
Wow, is that ahead of schedule or is that the original timetable?
We paid that all off at once.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
you
think we
didn't?
ever took it. We
Oh,
didn't.
really?
Yeah, we didn't take any
Okay.
notes out
and
for
the,
that.
And the town hall, how much is that?
It's about a quarter.
Yeah, I think
Quarter
it's
of a
2.
million.
Yeah.
Okay, so you still have plenty of money in
Yeah, I
there.
think we might have allocated a little bit for sidewalks out of
Sidewalks.
there.
Okay.
When we talked about doing sidewalks for
Yeah.
a change.
Yeah.
And and we still have more sidewalks to do, and we're going to continue to do them. Because this one's a big hit on
Yeah.
Route 7 South. That
Yeah.
sidewalk is very nice.
Yeah.
Very neat. It should have been there 10
Yeah.
years
Is
ago,
that right?
if not
I've
20.
gotten several emails from people
Yeah.
that live, because I don't think a lot of people, if
Huh.
you haven't been up Harborview lately,
I tried buying
people are
those
surprised.
certainly.
There's a lot of houses up there.
Yeah.
So connecting just that one sidewalk, the number of households, I think it was 400 or something like
Could
that
be.
between all the communities
Really?
up there that are now directly connected to the city system, which again just makes sense for St. Albans.
In other areas where you're looking for more sidewalks in the town?
Route 7 North is the scoping study right now. It's a much bigger project.
Boy, if you could ever pull that off, is that conceivable? Boy, it just seems like there's not a lot of room. Is that conceivable at least?
It is conceivable. We actually,
Mhm.
in person, walked it with VHB engineers and some of our folks.
And survived,
and shared.
okay.
Yeah, we didn't go down. We skipped a section, so the section we all know. It is conceivable. It is going to be complex, and we're just trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Well, that's where the engineers come in. I guess let's just leave it at that. So we've had local concerns meetings about it. We've had a lot of public input, and we're going to keep going.
I'm sure there's, I can only assume the public would love, I'm sure there's a lot of support for that. I'm sure a lot of people would love to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, on the other side of things,
Yeah.
is it's going to be way more expensive than what we did on the south side
I bet.
on Main Street. So, I think in this one, we would need to be some money other than just the town of
Some
St.
outside
Albans.
funding, ideally, if you could find it. Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to end up being, but is it fair to say it would be 5 to 10 times more expensive than Route 7 South?
Yeah, on the high end. Yep.
Yeah.
There's a study that
So-
came out of 8 years ago or something that I disagree with that price that came in there. But yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a hefty tag. But we're hoping, because part of it's in the city, it's on a state road, and it's obviously with us. I'm hopeful that we can get some significant grant funding.
Yeah,
for
if
that.
we can have some partners, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And again, it came up before voters years ago, and it was turned down, but just trying to get a sidewalk or rec path between what's SATEC, St. Albans Town Educational Center, and Collins Purley. Is that's still getting some attention, or is that kind of gone away?
No, it's getting some attention. In fact, it's put in for earmarks or congressionally directed spending last year to
The
try
big
to
problem, just crossing the
Yes.
the interstate access, whatever they call that. road.
Sash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and stormwater issues. That's kind of ground zero for our stormwater
Yeah.
problems. Yeah, I guess to answer your question, yes, it's still on the table. We're
Yeah.
looking, because the Health Path project, which would not technically include that, but be right there, I think would be a part of it, is finalized now. So that's another major pedestrian walkway project. Yeah.
Bob Cross, of course, retired a while back as long time St. Albans Town Fire Department chief. And I forget, I'm sure this has come up before. Is he also retired as a town's public safety officer? I forget. Is he still in that job?
No, that's
Yeah.
when he officially retired from that.
He did retire.
End of the fiscal
And
year.
is there someone else in that job now?
We're actually hiring a full-time firefighter for the first time.
No, really.
Yep, to basically sit in the same seat, literally. And we're down to, hopefully in the next week or two, we'll have an announcement for that.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
And will that job, will it be a different job than Bob had, a different job responsibilities, or not particularly different, or?
Yeah, it's definitely a different scope.
Yeah.
The old job description and the new one are pretty significantly different. And this person's just going to be there and just basically going to be a full-time firefighter. It's just the simplest way to put it. Yeah.
Interesting. You mentioned stormwater. I guess we could probably spend the rest of the show on
Yeah.
stormwater.
Yeah.
Again, how many, probably like 26 projects or something, Sean? How many impaired waterways, stormwater projects have you got?
Yeah. I think if you included all the MS4s and the other ones, yep, I would say I'd say it's probably 20, 30 easy. MS4 projects are the ones we absolutely have to do by 2036. And those numbers.
So 2036.
Mhm, yep. And if we did them all today, it'd be about $18 million.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. So it's not fun. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, why did I bring up stormwater? But
You've gotten there's some outside funding for that, or?
we've been fortunate to get a couple grants. Yep.
Yeah.
We're doing the Tanglewood project. Actually, the bids are due today at 1:00.
I should know,
30
we're
years.
taping this show on Tuesday, September 24th.
Yeah. And then the Clyde Allen one should be out to bid within a few weeks. Yeah.
Wow.
So those are the two biggest ones on the MS4 permit.
And the Tanglewood has been
30 years.
worked on for multiple decades, so
Yeah.
we actually, there's a finish line in sight.
Spring.
And it'll be wonderful to not talk about Tanglewood and stormwater at some point. Hopefully it'll be corrected and done as well as we can there. But then, of course, these projects, water and other things flow downhill. So even though Tanglewood might be fixed, there's still going to be other projects
Oh, yeah.
that need to be mitigated to help Tanglewood. So it's not going to completely fix their area,
Yeah.
but at least make the changes there that are needed.
Yeah.
So in retrospect, some of these housing developments should never have been built where they were, or at least with changes, or in hindsight, 2020 is, of course, so
Well,
easy to look back.
The way I understand it,
Yeah.
they had to get a stormwater permit, but the state never followed up on it.
It's a
So
different process
It's a
back
different process than it is
Mm-hmm.
today, and it kind of fell to the wayside, and all this flooding happened. But there's some interesting ditching along the Sash too that is mind-boggling that happened. So
Collapsed
there-
culverts.
yeah, just there's a lot of factors that go into it, to that whole flooding of the Meadowbrook area in that backyard.
Yeah.
But hopefully we're gonna get that resolved.
And we got a grant for, we call it the East-West Sash Basin, Stormwater Basin. So it's like right above, just up, water goes downhill theory. So up the hill a little bit. We already started the engineering on that. with Aldrich and Elliott. We got a grant from V-Trans to do that.
Sounds like you spend a not insignificant amount of your time on stormwater stuff, Sean.
I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah. Yeah.
How many communities
Dave.
in the state? It's not like
It's only 13 or 14 at
it's not like
MS4.
I'm just surprised the numbers that low.
Yeah.
I am too.
Yeah. I don't know the rhyme or reason
Doesn't
behind
just
it.
about every town have a river or stream or something? That just seems so funny to me.
Yeah, because Swanton is not an MS4,
So Swanton's
and they're on
not
the
in
lake,
there.
and they have
Really?
river and brook. I don't-
Great.
Yeah, I don't-
So there's only certain impaired waters. I think it's like Ruggs and Stevens Brook
Yeah.
that's in our area.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
But everything else isn't impaired. Like, I just don't know how they determine that. And there's some equation based
Yeah.
on water flow, and but certain parts of it aren't impaired either. But
Yeah.
that's we could sit here all day and talk about that. We're right, wrong, or indifferent.
It sounds like there's been changes, and I'm glad we have people who can explain ARPA money. I'm hearing that term, American Rescue Plan Act
Mhm.
money. But I'm hearing now that because of a deadline to get away from having to deal with the deadline.
Obligation deadline is December 31st. Yeah, and then you'll have 2 more years late till the end of 2026 to spend the money if it's on per project or contract.
But I'm hearing, and there's a different term for ARPA money, like special condition.
Yeah, if
it's
you
come up in a show or two, but
Yeah, it depends on what the locality justified or designated their ARPA as. So when it wasn't me, it was Carrie and previous select board designated for lost revenue, replacement of lost revenue. So there's actually little to no restrictions on how you can spend it. I mean, you can't spend it on, you can't pay the tax rate down, you can't pay debt service, and maybe 1 or 2 other smaller things. Those are the big ones you can't. But yeah, the 3 months left until the 2.5 months left.
So have you, Al, do you know what you're doing with all the money the town, how much money did the town get?
1.9.
1.9?
Mm-hmm. And yep, we digitized our records, our land records, which was pretty expensive. We bought equipment with it. We've done a lot with it. Yeah, we still have a good chunk left.
So it's not all allocated, it's not,
Nope, not yet.
Interesting.
We've got a few things that'll use it up basically. So I'm not. It will be spent or obligated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the old town hall, how could I not ask you about the former St. Albans Town Hall? Seems like I see a real estate. Do I see a Sam Smith sign and Rachel?
Yep.
Anyway,
Rachel's been
it seems like when I last left you, Sean, you had you were hoping, was there a deadline? Seems like on the last show the deadline was getting close for seeing who was interested in buying it.
Yeah, we had that initial 90-day window that we were going to leave it open for bids, and then we've had a lot of interest in it. A couple of things of people have fallen through, but
Did you get some official bids?
yeah, we had
Okay.
official offers. Yep.
But did not accept any of them.
They fell through, I guess. Some people. It's a big overhaul to do. So one of the formal offers that they deemed it to be not something that they wanted to do after looking into it a bit. We have somebody right now that we're hopeful that we can close on and move forward, but almost.
So you're still pretty optimistic you'll find some new home for someone to deal with this place?
I am, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you guys?
I just want to see it gone and
Yeah.
not be a burden to the town anymore.
Yeah,
That's all.
Yeah, and see it put back on the tax rolls.
yeah.
that'd be nice.
And someone can take care of the building and have it be used.
If you're still unsuccessful, if you still don't nail anything down, can I assume you'll at least keep it heated over the winter and stuff, or
It's what we did last year.
if you have to?
Winterized it with whatever
Yeah.
we needed to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty confident that we won't have it this
And
winter.
can you say anything about the future if your confidence is justified? The future use, can you talk about what the future use of this might be, or
Mixed use. First floor, probably office space, second floor housing.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. It can do 2 units per floor. So I think it's a pretty good model for that.
Yeah.
If there was water sewer down there, that building would have been
You'd
it
be
wouldn't have
outside.
lasted 5 days in the market. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's the septic and well, that's the.
And speaking of water and sewer down there, weren't you folks giving some thought to a wastewater system in the bay, or that was getting some attention, was it not?
Yeah, I believe Sean completed a study on there, and we have some pricing on the cost and all
I'm
that
sure
stuff.
those prices seem really reasonable, of course.
Yeah, they're not bad. I mean, probably write a check for that tomorrow. No, not really.
Yeah.
But I think we're also doing that downtown study too. That's also going to incorporate the water and sewer all into one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we don't want to lay pipe, dig up the streets, put water and sewer in, and then have to dig up the roads again because we want to do this, this, or this.
Yeah.
We're trying to. We got the intersections down there. We're trying to deal with. We're trying to do it all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we talked to the state about taking over Route 36 and Lake Street too, which would help all those projects basically.
And is that possible?
It is possible. Yeah.
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 The town had looked into it a number of years ago too, but
Yeah. And when COVID hit, it kind of fell apart, and
Yeah.
so that's a crucial step because then we don't have to deal with AOT anymore.
yes.
We can just
Yeah.
we don't have to ask their permission and
Yeah.
wait, and we can just do
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Especially the intersection.
Yeah.
And the site of the former Public Works garage, what's the new? Any news on the future of that site?
I just had to nudge one of the firms that we're working with just to been waiting on cost estimates for each alternative that they presented. So that should be coming, what's today, the 25th?
24th.
Okay, it
24th.
should be coming tomorrow. So that'll be a big step just towards having a better idea of what's going to cost before we
Yep.
decide on it.
The town didn't sound like the town had any interest in selling that property, or am I wrong about that?
No, I don't think we discussed that. I mean, I think some of the proposals that have been up have been anywhere from like a park
Yeah.
to a boat launch,
Yeah.
to a combination thereof. So I think we're waiting to see, as we said, the cost estimates of those things. I know in a lot of past meetings, I know in conversations I've had with people that people would really love to see a boat launch there. Whether there's an accompanying park too,
Yeah.
that's fine. The people I've talked to and mentioned about being just a park there usually point out, well, isn't the Bay Park a couple hundred yards down the shore, which is true. So
Yeah.
I think having a boat launch there, if it's feasible, if it's possible, is certainly what I'd like to see, and certainly what I'm hearing from people.
Isn't lake level a concern? Isn't there a concern there about the lake level?
That being too shallow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the process is to have it dredged and made deeper, or if it's just one where it maybe you can't put large boats in there. Maybe
Yeah.
it's smaller, 20-foot or 22-foot boats.
Although the marina's almost next door, I guess. I mean, the marina seems to.
He doesn't have a boat launch though.
No
Not
boat
yet.
line. Right.
But dredging's possible.
Boy, dredge. Is that right? You think that really is possible? I hate to think of the price tag on dredging. Who knows?
Yeah. We're going to get the Army Corps of Engineers' opinion on it,
Yeah.
which also might unlock funding for the project too.
Yeah.
So, but that usually tends to make it a little longer of a process.
Yeah.
But,
I just
but
think
they'd know.
in the other one we have down at Hathaway Point, that boat launch.
And of
is-
course, anybody who goes down, I go by there all the time on a busy day.
Yeah, it's
not
not
a
safe.
not a good situation.
It's even worse since COVID hit because people are like, oh,
Yeah.
what can we do? Oh, okay, let's go boating. We're away
Yeah.
from people. You can bring your family. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it's,
No, it's not a good
bad.
situation.
You see a dozen cars with trailers
Yeah.
on both
Yeah.
sides of the
Yeah.
road down there, and it essentially becomes a one-lane road
Yeah.
on a turn
Yeah.
without any signage to
Yeah.
let people know that's
Yeah.
what's happening. So I think having a boat launch there, even if it just removed 15 cars,
Yeah.
15 boats were able to launch
Sure.
there instead, that could make a difference.
Yeah. Old Stone House, any news of note? I know you'd love to find a bunch more buckos for, bring that back to life more, but what's going on with the old Stone House at the Bay Park?
Yeah, actually, we're applying for a grant to help pay for the engineering and architecture aspect of it.
Yeah.
So I have met with people out there. The grant is due in October, and this is all pretty much new information too. in the last week. But yeah, we're going to see the viability, what we can do with it, and push forward, make sure those slate shingles are the same size. And
Wow.
Yeah. It's been frustrating from what I've heard. I know Sean and others have been more involved with it, but I understand it's a historical building, so we want to,
Yeah.
we need to follow all those rules, but it does handicap what a community can do with a building like that, because you have to follow those, which we will, of
Yeah.
course. But it's created some roadblocks and some, times 3 on pricing with things.
Yeah.
because we were going to replace the roof last year, and then
And again, you
Fun
have to,
little detail.
you have to keep a slate roof, right? You can't,
so that's kind of there's a little bit of a, well, so in order to get grant funding, we have to basically keep everything the same. If
Yeah.
we were to pay for it all ourselves, then we can mostly make our own choices. So, but because it's so expensive, it makes more sense to do grant funding, which is kind of like a double-edged sword.
does anybody do slate roofs? Are there such a thing as
There's less
with new
than 5
structures?
in the
That's
state of Vermont.
another part of the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're not common. They're just so expensive to put on. Like, people
I
don't do
bet.
slate churches. You see a lot of roof repair on churches, but nobody puts like a brand new slate roof on.
Yeah.
Actually, I think, wow, that was like 20 years ago. I think Middlebury College did one just because a lot of their buildings are slate roofs, so they continued the look, but they're expensive. I know what I'd like to see to do with that building is pretty near remove it and reuse the stone in a different location down there to get so if you had, right now the bands play behind the stone house,
Yeah.
so you don't get to look at the water.
Right.
I would think move the stone house back
Trust
away
it.
from the water.
Yeah.
Then you could have your concert and farmer's market on the water. So you're
Trust it.
looking at the water while you're watching the band. It just
Yeah.
seems like that bathhouse was put there with good intentions, but
Yeah.
it was a bathhouse. I don't think it's going to ever be much more than that, just based on the wall height is short in between the wings, and it's just
And we can't put windows in it.
yeah,
So
we
that's
can't
another-
be skylights. We had some
Very-
rendering of
Yeah.
a cupola style in the
Yeah.
center to bring in more light, and the state said no to that. And but you can do this. It's well, we don't want to do that. We want to, we want to dump some money into this building and make it nice and make it usable. And okay, but we're going to tie your hands. I just don't understand. There's not a lot of municipalities that are putting money into stuff like
Right.
this to bring
Yeah.
people into your downtown. We're willing to do it, and the state's, no, we don't want it done that way, for whatever reason. Maybe they have a great reason, but I don't really see it.
Yeah. But a good busy summer, a good summer. I certainly get down to the Bay Park, walk down there a lot. But the farmers market again had unfortunately, I guess the last one was canceled because of, Triple E concerns. Is that
Tripoli, yeah.
anyway?
Yeah.
But still pretty good summer, pretty busy summer down in the Bay Park, and the farmers market with music with it again just went very well. And kudos, I think the town, who's ever in charge down there, you keep the Bay Park in very good shape.
Yeah, Johnson.
Kudos to those folks. Fall, winter projects. Any main projects coming up for the town? I mean, summer you do some repaving. Anything going on in the fall? Road work is pretty much done for the.
No, ours is just
No?
beginning actually.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. I think in 2 weeks. We've got, French Hill, parts of French
I
Hill.
was going to ask you about French Hill. Seems
Yeah.
like French Hill's always an issue, huh?
Yeah, but we're starting to,
always
we're making way on it.
Really?
Yeah.
We're slowly doing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's so expensive and
Yeah.
it's time consuming, and I think we're trying to do most of the work ourselves.
It's,
So it's just, but we're working on it. At least we're doing
Yeah.
something about it, not just saying we need to do that.
yeah.
Yeah,
We're
there's
actually doing it.
focus on doing it the right way, because it sounds like in the past it hasn't been done the way it should be for a hill like that.
And be more specific about what's the biggest problem? What's the biggest problem on French Hill?
Well, I'm gonna let these guys
They
talk
kinda
about this.
just, from what I
You can
understand,
understand that better.
they kind of just would just put new coats over the top
Yeah.
instead of milling it up. These are things that I didn't know about before I had this job. but instead of like really taking it down and then just putting a good base and foundation and going from there. So.
And then there just culverts need to be replaced, and the way the ditching is, the water before it gets to the culverts, you know, so they're addressing all those issues too, instead of just top coating it. They're, if they gotta take it down, take the base layers out to put a proper base in. And
we would have done the whole street this year if it wasn't for the culvert that we need to replace.
Really?
So that'll be next year slated to do the rest of French Hill. This year it's French Hill, parts of Sampson, Eastview, Westview, and parts of the southern portion of Kellogg.
So some progress up there. I know, talking to the Swanton Town folks, they've got a section just in Swanton that sounds like a very difficult section to deal with also. This is a pondering what to do with that, I guess.
Yeah. And they've,
I guess just a few houses here, but something it sounds like they need to deal with on their side.
and it's getting more expensive to do too, so.
I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
Talk about the Town of St. Albans TOD growth area plan. TOD being
Transit-oriented development.
transit-oriented development. In fact, I did just finally track down Catherine Dimitrick from Northwest Regional Planning Commission. Had a good hour with her. And Northwest Regional Planning's working with you on this. And again, we're taping. I guess there's some stuff coming up even
Today?
later today. Again, we're taping the show
5:30.
on Tuesday, September 24th. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure that'll be worth much for people
Thursday,
watching this
too.
show. But talk about that a bit. What's going on?
Yeah, it's actually with it's a regional, I'd say it's a regional grant, RISE grant with Chittenden County RPC. They came to us and asked if we wanted to do this kind of TOD, transit-oriented project. It's kind of different because it's usually it would be like housing to support transit, but this is transit to support housing. So it's kind of like a future growth plan. So basically looking for where it would make sense to kind of build intelligently, grow intelligently, and also that would factor into a regional transit plan. So it's, right now we have pretty limited public transportation means here. And I don't think anything's happening tomorrow on that front, but this looking out into the future is going to be a very helpful blueprint. And it's big on feedback, basically. So tonight's the open house for the public, and then Thursday is a kind of a more formal meeting, also in Highgate Commons, with Stantec.
So housing, of course, a huge issue in the state, maybe everywhere, but
Yeah.
just part of this is just hoping to make getting additional housing a little easier to deal with.
Yeah, and to kind of show a developer too, this is what we're doing, this is what the plan is in the next 5 to 10 years, goes a long way. Even it's kind of like laying in the ground for utilities without actually putting them in, if that makes any sense. So, because most of the growth area, if not all, already has all the infrastructure. So to really point out a plan, especially if you're talking to somebody who's, Chittenden County or elsewhere that doesn't know the area, be like, no, look at this. This is what's going to be, what we see happening in the next 10 years. It goes a long way to kind of not incentivizing, but making the decision a little bit more attractive.
Or transportation, I guess, Green Mountain Transit, I guess,
Yeah.
cutting back some of its routes, although I think Catherine said, Franklin County, is going to keep what it has now, but anyway. Bus service, Jim Levy, dogged effort by Jim Levy to get some bus service back. Do you know people who are taking the bus, or actually talking Greyhound buses that stop in the city? Is that hearing anybody who takes buses or anything?
That's in Montreal, right?
Yeah, Montreal to Boston. You can
Yeah.
get on a bus in anyway, but issue that doesn't come up.
Yeah,
come up
I haven't
much
heard
again.
any, but how much does that cost for St. Albans to Montreal? For
Could-
I think it was
I think about 20,
22
25,
bucks?
something
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Not bad. I mean, I'm always, I'd love to think I'd live long enough to see the train get back to Montreal, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure that's going to happen. But
I wouldn't be
there is-
surprised if this is an effort to do that. I know my previous stops, we did exactly that. The city paid for a SmartWay bus to go to Lynchburg. And it was just to show the demand of what the Amtrak traffic would be every day.
Huh.
And I mean, it took a year or two of us kind of subsidizing citizens' tickets. but they did. And now the southernmost point of the daily Amtrak from Virginia to Boston is in Roanoke. So I could be wrong on that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was part of kind of the reasoning behind this.
Yeah.
I was going to go back, Richard, if I could,
Yeah.
just for a minute too, just to, along with the growth area plan.
Yeah.
Just thinking back, I don't know if any town in Franklin County's created more housing units in the last 20, 25 years than St. Albans Town has. That's going to help. Of course, I think a joint police force is going to help a little bit, but the elimination of that affiliation fee, I think, is going to help more development. At a recent meeting we had looking at changes to bylaws and zoning, I mean, we right now it's not official yet. We still got some processes to go through, but about 800 acres of land in the town should be moved into residential zoning before too long. So again, just
from agriculture or
from rural, yeah.
From
So
rural.
it should encourage
Interesting.
more housing. So just having all those pieces in, I know St.
Yeah.
Albans Town's really tried to do its part to
Yeah.
not eliminate the affordability crisis, but at least keep up with producing more housing units. So definitely trying to do a lot of things. That I know it's a big thing for Jonathan to make it easier too. Don't mean to speak for you, but I know you mentioned that a few times. Sorry.
And you mentioned the affordability crisis. Boy, I don't hear any term. I heard that, and I hear that term more frequently than any other term these days, as probably everybody else does. It just sounds like Vermont. Boy, a lot of folks are going to listen to WVMT, waking up, and I can just about count on a couple of people saying, "Hey, as soon as I'm out of here in a year or two, I'm heading south." It just seems like it's a huge issue. Do you pick up on that from town residents, Jonathan, or not so much?
Yeah, there's always, yeah, definitely.
I'm sure you always hear
Like,
that. It
you
just
see
seems
it on
like it's
social
becoming
media,
more.
like, I've had
Yeah.
enough, I'm leaving. And a lot of people like, oh, I did that 2 years ago, or whatever,
Huh.
It's, people move around too, like, you can't always, people want to change, people,
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt to move around either.
Yeah.
But like, cost is astronomical nowadays, just from what I do as a plumber, like the plumbing materials are just gone.
Really?
And they don't stop. They have never came down, they just keep on going.
Yeah.
The only thing that came down was PVC pipe and fittings, but other than that, everything just
Yeah.
keeps going.
Really?
You get an email, hey, next month, 6 to 7% increase on X, Y, and Z,
Wow.
it's the way it is.
No.
I don't know if it's ever gonna change. I've never seen stuff like come right back down.
Yeah.
I don't wanna be in a recession either.
Yeah. Brian, the affordability, and does that seem like it's definitely more of an issue now? Of course, we have the election 6 weeks from today, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, not to get into stuff with Montpelier, but I think a lot of
Get
the
into that
changes
if you
down
want.
there certainly haven't helped with that. I think people are seeing a lot of the increases. I mean, I should have registered my car before July 1st. I didn't, and I had it sitting there, and I saw the bill on it, and I put it off, and it was like July 5th. I went and I finally registered it. I couldn't believe the difference.
So July 1, that kicked up significantly.
I think it was 20%, right? I mean, it was meaningful. And, those things, we've got, I think the things are, and I don't know if it's going to have this clean heat standard thing. I don't know if that's
getting a lot of
just,
attention, of course.
yeah, if it's just people trying to be scary about it, or if those are real numbers that we may have to look at. Those are things that are chasing some people out of the state. Other people are coming in, as has been said. There's different factors. Our crime here, we're talking about a lot right now, but there's crime in other places in our country that are on a much different scale than what we have here. So although we are getting more expensive, I'm not sure there's still a better place to be than in St. Albans. I still choose to stay here. But stuff's definitely more expensive. I mean, you just have to go to Hannaford, get groceries for a week for I have 2 teenage boys at home right now. I need some subsidies, I think.
Yeah. Sean, you noticing as a town manager, just inflationary pressures and never go away? Has that eased off somewhat, or?
No, I haven't seen anything eased off. Insurance is looking like it's going up again, double digits,
No.
as we head into budget season again. Yeah, I wish I could say otherwise, but pretty much everything across the board is. There haven't been many spikes recently,
Yeah.
but outside of insurance. But
I think you gave me
Yeah.
the figure on the last show. I'm almost afraid to ask it again, but repaving 1 mile of a town road, give me, what is
about
that?
175,000.
175,000 for repaving one mile.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Then it'd probably be more for French Hill, that type of thing,
Yeah.
because it depends on the grade and what you have to do to it. But that's about it. $96 a ton.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah. In the wrong
There's
business.
been some talk in the past maybe about a satellite fire station on the north end of town. Does that just get no talk? Is there no talk about that or
Which
no
is- I think
concern
that's
about that?
part of the planning right now.
Yeah.
We had a kind of a fire department, it was a subcommittee or whatever, but I think that part of the discussion with that,
Yeah.
to see if that makes sense. If it does, maybe to work with I don't know, maybe with Swanton if it made sense, but I think that's part of the discussion with that. So certainly no decisions made on that.
You've had discussions with Swanton folks, have you not, about just terrain around by exit 20? Have you had any discussions with Swanton?
There were some meetings at least a while back that I'm aware of, but
In terms of what, I guess.
Just growth, just.
That's our growth center.
Yeah.
Not so much really, because they got the big.
The state garage up
Yeah.
there and everything. I
Mhm.
think it was like
Vermont
pre.
And I guess National Guard, I guess a
Yeah.
future
Yeah.
site for the Guard, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
I know there were some meetings. I want to say I know it was before you joined us up here, Sean. A couple of years
Jack
back.
Brigham
was
talked with
there,
Earl
yeah, so-
Fournier. I
Oh,
think he
yeah.
might have. I think Jack might have even attended a meeting, or it was something about logistics of water in town
Swanton,
and
the
trying
city was
to
there.
get water to the town up there. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's the only one that I'm really aware of.
Yeah, but I think that all got worked out.
Yeah.
Well, we're willing to work with Swan on anything if they want to collaborate on a project on the north end, for sure. We're
Yeah.
open to that.
Sean, you get together with other town managers, town administrators?
I do pretty often.
How often do you get together with those folks?
Pretty often, actually. I'm getting to become pretty good friends with a few of them.
And is it statewide or mostly this area or?
Twice a year, it's statewide.
Oh.
VTC in May, we have our meetings. Next one's next month. But like for instance, this Friday I'm having lunch with John DeSaro from Euniceburg and Bill Sheets at
Oh.
Swanton Village. So,
Oh.
and quarterly we have our Franklin County City Town Manager luncheons. So we
Yeah.
all get together and somebody new hosts it, and we all it's just good.
I'm sure there are plenty of things you find to talk about.
Yes, they tend to go a little long.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's good because I have a lot to learn from the people around here, not being from here. So I think that if anything, I learn. That's what I take from it a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
Sean, I think the town, and talked about a lot of issues, concerns. I think the town's in reasonably good shape. You reasonably happy with the state of St. Albans Town right now?
Yeah, no, besides the crime and stuff like that, which everybody sees nationally,
Yeah.
I think the town's in a really good spot. The only thing I'm a little anxious for is the upcoming budget, because based on what goes on in the state house this next coming year is going to possibly affect the taxes again. So I just want to make sure that, we really get our budget, not overspending and just, collect taxes on what we need. That's all. I think we just need to have a year where we don't have a significant increase.
So just a concern that you won't get as much money from the state for various projects that you've been getting in the past?
Yeah, I don't think we've
Or
been
expenses,
getting, or
yeah.
expenses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we just gotta watch it, just because if, that clean heat bill comes out and it's another burden to the
Yeah.
taxpayers of this town, we gotta give some relief for a couple of years. I
Yeah.
think we really gotta watch what we spend.
And of
As much
course,
as I don't
yeah.
want to go backwards, and but we do have LOT money. We can get creative, and
Yeah.
we can survive and still go on with a few projects.
And of course, just the school financing thing, I mean, good luck, just explaining that. But legislature supposedly looking into that, but good luck. I mean, just I think the governor also voicing big concern about the next year property tax increases and the like. But Brian, down 30 seconds, maybe give you the. I think the town with 30 seconds left. Pretty happy with the town. You think you got?
Yeah, I definitely am. Yeah. I was just going to say, I think one thing we've talked about during this hour here is just the village that we have down there, the Bay Village.
Yeah.
And just a lot of work down there, a lot of planning going on. I think the village could look way different in 10 or 20 years.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thanks to Jonathan Giroux, the St. Albans Town Select Board Chairman, Select Board Member Brian Delorier, Sean Atkins, the St. Albans Town Manager. Thanks for the time. You covered a lot of ground, folks.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks to my main guy, Alan Cunningham, our producer out there. Thanks for watching us here on Northwest Access TV. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. See you next time.